The medicine chest, how the pantry was replaced by the pharmacy. In 1955, your grandmother likely kept a small brown bottle of clove oil in her medicine chest. She didn't call it alternative medicine, it was just medicine. That same year, Tylenol was launched, beginning a decades-long campaign to convince Americans that anything from the kitchen cabinet was backward and unscientific. But here is the truth they didn't mention. A 2006 controlled trial found that clove oil performed equally to benzocaine, a pharmaceutical-grade anesthetic. The laboratory hadn't improved on the pantry, it had just found a way to charge for it. From the salt gargle for sore throats to the onion poultice for deep joint pain, these remedies work through mechanisms like osmosis and sulfur compound penetration, principles modern science has since confirmed and often patented in synthetic form. Many of these household staples were systematically sidelined. Apple cider vinegar, used for decades to reduce joint stiffness, cost 25 cents in 1955, while today's name brands run $8 to $10. Oil of wintergreen, which contains methyl salicylate, the primary ingredient in Bengay, cost pennies at the dime store. Even the humble mustard foot bath, which dilates peripheral vessels to relieve headaches, was replaced by pills like Excedrin because a pill is more convenient to sell than a cast iron pot of hot water. These remedies didn't disappear because they stopped working, they disappeared because you cannot patent salt, onions, or vinegar. The transition from plant to pharmacy followed a predictable pattern. White willow bark became aspirin. Comfrey leaves, which contain allantoin for cell proliferation, became $20 creams. Camphorated oil, which interrupts pain signals, was effectively banned for household use by the FDA in 1980, ending a century of safe topical application. In every case, a compound your grandmother grew in her garden was synthesized, patented, and sold back to the public at 10 to 50 times the cost. The FDA's evidence standards assume someone paid for the science, but since nobody can patent a dried flower bud, no pharmaceutical company would fund the trials for clove oil. Other staples included Epsom salt soaks for muscle relaxation and ginger tea for menstrual cramps. A study of 150 women found ginger comparable to ibuprofen for pain relief. Yet, the reformulation of Midol and the launch of Advil turned these natural processes into pharmaceutical categories. Even turpentine rubs, a standard practice for rheumatism from Appalachia to the Midwest, were removed from legal topical sale in 1994. Today, the same pharmacological principle is sold in synthetic capsaicin patches for $30. Your grandmother made hers for pennies from the spice rack. Perhaps the most important remedy was the one no company could manufacture, the nightly rubdown. Using warmed oil or plain lard, the human touch activates the gate control mechanism at the spinal level, releasing endorphins and reducing cortisol. No patent has ever been filed on the warmth of a pair of hands at the end of a hard day. We were taught to forget this knowledge in favor of the supplement aisle. These aren't ancient myths, the people who use them are still alive. Your grandmother didn't need a prescription, she needed a pantry and the knowledge her mother gave her. That knowledge didn't disappear, it just went quiet. Please subscribe so you will be notified of new uploads. Press the like button, it helps our algorithm. Thanks for watching.